business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
It's tourney time, and with FanDuel's Dog of the Day, you can get a daily profit boost during the College Conference Championships to bet on any underdog. So get ready to celebrate some upsets.
No one saw that coming, except for me, baby.
21 plus in present in select states. Opt-in required. Minimum plus 100 odds required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Let's party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and let the bodies go spread the holiday cheer.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
You know, I can't believe it took so long for us to do an episode on How I Met Your Mother, and I have a feeling that this episode is going to be legend. Wait for it.
Oh, Jesus.
Dairy.
Yep. Great. Awesome.
So here's the thing with why I picked How I Met Your Mother. You picked Parks and Rec last.
Loved this show, right?
Well, so yeah, we're gonna go through a little quick history of Matt with How I Met Your Mother, but Matt 2025, How I Met Your Mother kind of turned into one of those throw on to fall asleep shows when I'm like setting the TV timer, because it is like it's something that's easy breezy, don't need to follow too much. I know the plot line and I just kind of drift off while I listen to the laugh track.
I would also say the shows that follow in this vein now, like this style of sitcom, seem almost like too polished to me.
Yeah.
Like almost too clean looking.
Yeah. So this show, I have two memories of this show before I ever watched this show.
Yeah.
I had a record label with my friend Jeff, and the first album we ever put out was from this band of high schoolers that we knew called In All the Same Houses. They put out an awesome EP, and the opening track was called Nothing Good Happens After 2 a.m., which is a quote from How I Met Your Mother. They're like, oh, it's a quote from How I Met Your Mother. It's a great show. You should watch it.
I'm pretty sure that's also just an idiom.
Yeah. But I was
Sorry.
like, yeah, I'm sure I'll get around to it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't intending to. But, like, Schropp took that to heart as, like, a dude who would just, like, binge TV shows. So he just, like, went out on a whim and bought all the seasons that were available on DVD at that time.
Oh, God. Remember when we had to do
Yeah,
that?
and he was like, hey, this show's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And, like, what our takeaway was, like, this was one of those shows where I was watching it and I'm like, I don't understand why there's a laugh track on this. Like, even by the way it's shot, you can just tell there's way too many like on the street stuff that it's so clearly a single cam show that has like the laugh track added onto it. And it was because like CBS, for whatever reason, just did not let go of that laugh track. I think they still are like the forefront laugh track channel. Like everyone else has moved into the multi-cam or the single cam, and they are just like.
And I almost feel like I would like this show more without the laugh track.
And that was the thing. Schropp was like, you have to ignore it. And something that he pointed out that I realized later on is probably true is that I think that even the creators didn't want the laugh track there, because I swear the laugh track is mixed way lower than most laugh tracks on TV shows are mixed. Like it almost seems like they were trying to also hide it a little bit. I feel like this show was so important to me, and I like will wake up crying as I'm falling asleep to this show because there are so many moments where Ted Mosby, who, let's be honest, Ted Mosby is really having his Zach Morris as a jerk phase where now we're like really looking back on the show and being like, oh, this character kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to disagree with the fact that Ted Mosby kind of sucks.
So he's the main character. He's the one that's narrating.
He's our main narrator. But there are these speeches that he will give about like that longing that you feel when you're like single and trying to find love that like just are so. What I'll say is that How I Met Your Mother was the perfect show for a single guy in his 20s to be watching. And it captured like a large, like I feel like it really captured my friendships at that time. And it was like like I remember me and my friends getting together to watch the finale and being wildly disappointed by it.
Yeah.
But like this was one of the episodes that always stuck out in my mind as a really fun episode. And when we were thinking of like, oh, let's do some sitcom specials, because it's probably been one of the biggest things we've ignored, this was one of the first ones that came to my mind. Obviously, because like I said, I've been falling asleep to the show, but because Marshall specifically in this episode is so much you and I.
Oh,
just
yeah, 100%.
like
100%.
so overwhelmingly excited about Christmas. So like the opening shot, you see this, as they keep referring to it as like the Christmas Wonderland, where it's just the apartment is decked out like ceiling to floorboard with like Christmas decor, but he doesn't feel like he's earned it until he's done taking all of his exams. So he's trying to like walk through the room with his eyes closed, and he's like, and he's all of a sudden he's like, Lily, are those your special Christmas cookies that I smell? And she goes, yes. He goes, God damn my heightened senses. And then he knocks over.
Like, I want
something.
25 of them, and don't clean the bowl.
Don't clean the bowl.
Hell yeah.
Then he knocks over the plastic reindeer and goes, was that a reindeer? Don't tell me. I don't want to know. like it's so good.
So this show to me has been, it happened in the background of my life more than anything. Of I knew friends that were super into it, and I just kind of avoided it, mostly for the Neil Patrick Harris character.
Yeah,
like I just found the clips I saw of him to be super obnoxious, and then I watched this episode and I'm like, okay, yeah, my thoughts were where they were supposed to be. Correct accusation on my end.
Well, but also like I feel like Barney falls into that same category as like a Tyler Durden, where it's like he's not supposed to be idolized.
No,
100%
not.
Like he's supposed to be depicted as a man child who like like one of the episodes I most recently watched was that he slept with his 200th girl.
Yeah.
And every single person's like, Barney, that's disgusting.
That's gross.
And he's like, well, I had to do this. I had to prove a point. And like it goes to a flashback where he was in like first grade, where one kid bragged that he had done it with 200 girls, and Barney was like, I'll do the same thing. And he like sits down and meets with that guy and shows him the list of everybody. And the guy's like, I was a 9-year-old making a joke.
Yeah.
Like, this is sad. You should seek a therapist. Like they definitely depict Barney as like, no, there's something wrong with him that he is the way that
and
he
I
is.
also think I want to strangle him whenever I hear the legendary bit.
Yeah. It's but it's the most noteworthy quote. I had to
it's been played out to death. Like but, I'm not referencing that with you.
Yeah.
But I mean like that's the main thing that I'm like, geez, this fucking guy.
Well, let's talk about, there's a couple quotes that I wrote down here, and there's a nice callback. So the premise of this episode is after season 1, when Lily runs off and calls off her wedding with Marshall because she wants to chase down this painting scholarship that she has in San Francisco. By season 2, she's come back, and at this point, her and Marshall are back together. Wedding is back on. Things are good to go. And as she's putting up all the decorations, she finds the old answering machine. And, you know, Ted says, yeah, we had to remove everything that reminded Marshall of you, and you used to leave messages on the messaging machine. But hey, you're back. Let's plug it in. And then there's a tape in there, and when they hit play, there's a message from Ted in which he calls Lily a Grinch. And then as the voiceover says, but I didn't say Grinch, I said a bad word. I said a very, very bad word,
and
which I'm assuming we can all agree is the word cunt.
I thought it was bitch.
No, I think it's I
you
think
sure?
it's that. Oh yeah, because they call each other bitch elsewhere on this show. I mean,
Do
Lily's
they?
catchphrase
I've never
is
seen this show.
Oh yeah. Lily's catchphrase, like every character has a catchphrase, and Lily's catchphrase is when someone wrongs her. She goes, "Oh, you son of a bitch." So
Huh.
I
I
think
guess
it's
that
the
does
C
put
word.
it in more perspective because I watched this whole episode like she's kind of overreacting, right?
Yeah. No. Well,
Dude,
and
I watched this whole episode thinking it was bitch because
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm sitting there like, I mean, that's kind of what you do when your buddies and the girl is
and that's
broken
the
up,
thing.
right?
What I like about this episode is I think both people are in the right and going about it the wrong way, because
Yeah.
I agree with Ted where he's like, you ran off, my buddy was heartbroken, and my job as best friend is
Yeah,
to make
I'm
him
gonna
stop.
call you a bitch or
Yeah.
a cunt.
Yeah, like it was kind of like it made sense. But yeah, so he says Grinch, but I didn't say Grinch.
Yeah.
I said a bad word, a very, very bad word. And then Lily storms out and he says, "Oh,
knows?
fudge." And he says, "But I didn't say fudge." And then
He
the
said fuck.
callback that I love is when they walk in and everything is gone. He goes, "She stole all the decorations? What a Grinch." And then the voiceover's like, "That time I actually did say
Yes,
Grinch."
that one was a good bit. That one was a good bit. I could see myself going back and watching this as
Yeah.
like a background.
But they do the flashback to like what Marshall was like when Lily left, and we're seeing these moments, and there's, as you said before we hit record, like Jason Segel's so good at playing heartbroken. But
This was him in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like it was
100%.
100% the same character. It was
But he-
great.
Ted goes, "She called off your wedding and dumped you and moved to San Francisco. Now, what do you call that?" And he goes, "Fiercely independent."
It's so good. Fiercely independent.
But then they're like at the
I
bar.
guess it was
it's like,
kind of selfish.
yeah, he's like, once he admitted that, we started piling on, and like Barney's going on about how she was a laugh slut and she would laugh at anything.
Yeah, she would laugh at puns.
Yeah. And the line that kills me, and I think about it all the time, is Ted going, "Remember that one time we heard Lily laughing and we thought she was watching Weekend at Bernie's, and then it turned out she was watching Weekend at Bernie's too?"
And I think that that's one of those things where I'm like, that joke would have hit better if it didn't have a laugh track.
100%.
Because that laugh track kicks in and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't need that for that. This is a good, solid joke that just turned real cringy when you added that laugh track over top of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Put down that smartphone and listen to me. I'm Matthew Milligan, professional musician and lifelong Weird Al fan. Each week, I'm joined by professional podcaster and close personal friend Matt Kelly to take a dive off the deep end into the vast career of pop culture icon Weird Al Yankovic on our show, Weird Algorithm. Along with some very special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we tackle every song, every television appearance, and every bit of sketch comedy Al has produced in chronological order, covering the good old days of My Bologna and Eat It, the fun zone of tacky and white and nerdy, and everything in between. As we go, we're ranking the songs, albums, and music videos in the hopes of creating the ultimate guide to a career bigger than the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. So the next time you're having one of those days, stuck in a traffic jam, wondering why does this always happen to me, just kick off your sneakers and stick around for a while, because we've got it all on Weird Algorithm, available wherever you get your podcasts. And now you know. Was that enough references?
We have to do this second subplot, right? So Lily has taken all the decorations. She's gone back to the apartment that she was renting secretly on the other side of the city.
Mm-hmm.
I love the visual of like all of these decorations shoved into this very tiny apartment compared
Now,
to
you
like,
said renting secretly on the... Can you explain that? Why? Is
well,
she
when
renting
she
a secret
first moved
apartment?
back, she couldn't just move in, so she
Okay.
got an apartment, but I think she's
Yeah.
still paying for that apartment because she hasn't like fully moved back
Yeah.
in with Ted and Marshall just yet. So like not secret, like everyone knows where it is, but like for the first like 3 or 4 episodes, they don't even know she's back in New York
Okay,
yet.
that
She's like
tracks.
living there.
Yeah.
And that probably is my absolute favorite joke in the whole show is when they're having that fight. First of all, I love Ted's thing where she's like, I've apologized to Marshall. We're good. And he goes, yeah, but you didn't apologize to me.
Oh, God. That even show. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, because he's like, we're supposed to be friends too.
Yeah.
Like,
because it seemed like they were best friends. Like
yeah.
when they do the flashback that's later in the episode, it seems like these two were close.
Yeah. Well,
Very
that's the thing.
close.
All three of them met each other on the same day in college. So they have all known each other the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's kind of where it's like, you cared about Marshall, but you didn't care about me. So yeah, I was fucking pissed about that. But he's like, he says like, cause you were kind of acting like a Grinch. And he's like, a Grinch. And he's screaming it. And then the power cuts off. And she goes, great. You upset the guy upstairs. And he goes, oh, like God cares. And then the guy upstairs just yells, and you keep using language like that, your water's next. Like,
yeah.
It's such a, but I agree. That is another one where the laugh track kicks in. And then like, I don't need her to explain like, oh, my super lives above me. Like, that's where the joke ends.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Joke
biggest problem
there.
that I have with How I Met Your Mother is that there's always like one or two jokes too many. But we eventually get that all worked out. I do love that Marshall keeps calling Ted for updates. And at one point it's like, when you walk in the door, is it like Christmas slapped you in the face? Like, he's so excited for Christmas. And if the you didn't apologize to me part doesn't tickle your heart, I feel like the other part that will is when you find out what Marshall did all day.
Yes.
And it's like, he was chasing down a truck to make sure that he could get Lily's gift in time. And then when he finds out that they're short-staffed and don't know if they'll deliver all the gifts in time, and he's like, some people might wake up and not have their Christmas gifts, and just like drops his schoolwork to volunteer to help the post office. It's like such a charming, beautiful thing.
It's so funny when he walks in and she's like, how'd your paper go? And he goes, yeah, I blew that off.
There's a bit that they didn't do. You talked about the flashback where Lily and Ted in college are like sitting on the floor, and she mentions like
Baked
always
as
wanting
fuck.
an easy bake oven.
All three of them super baked, super
Do you know
stoned.
about the sandwiches thing on this show? Has anyone ever told you about that? Okay. So there's a really funny bit, and they didn't do it in this episode for some reason.
Okay.
But because Ted is telling the story to his children, he never says that they're smoking weed. He just says we were eating sandwiches.
Yeah.
And they do these amazing, after they've established that as a bit in the show, they do all these amazing visual jokes where like they'll be at a concert and they like roll out 2 baggies filled with like deli meats. Like my favorite shot is at one point in one of the flashbacks, Ted walks into their dorm and Marshall's standing over like a 10-foot sandwich and like lighting one end of the sandwich.
Dude, that's so good. Damn it, now I need to watch this. That's a great bit. But no, this episode they straight up say like it's because
he's
of
like,
all the
we
weed.
were blazed.
Yeah,
we were blazed on weed. But Marshall comes back into the room and they're like, how was the concert? And he goes, I couldn't find the outside.
It's such a Cheech and Chong moment of like, I think we're parked, man. So good. Yeah, it's bits like that make me want to actually sit down and watch the show.
But you know what? It's one of those shows now where I'll put it on and there'll be a joke here or there that still works and gets a big laugh out of me. There'll be emotional beats that are like top tier, absolute top tier. There is a speech that I think it's probably one of the most famous speeches in the show that's called like the 60 days from now speech, which is like it's towards the end of the show where he says like he's at his lowest, he's just been dumped, and he says something along the lines of like, if I knew that 60 days from that moment I would have met your mom, I would have done this instead of what I actually did. And it's like he runs across the city and he knocks on a door and an unknown person opens the door. And he gives a speech where he's like, 60 days from now, we're going to meet and fall in love. And like, he goes through like everything that happens in their life. And he goes, but I came here because it kills me that I didn't get these 60 days either. Like, it's like such a beautifully written speech.
Yeah.
And like How I Met Your Mother is filled with those. But man, like doing the rewatch, and like I said, it's a falling asleep rewatch, but doing the rewatch, those like beautiful moments are very few and far between.
Really?
And then
Oh.
there's like those moments where you're just like, yeah, this is definitely a sitcom from 2007. Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
and I think that's the problem is like there's a in between the good bits, I can tell there's a lot of Big Bang Theory in here.
well, I wouldn't go with as far as Big Bang Theory because Big Bang Theory is truly awful. But like, but it's definitely, here's what I would say about this show. And I truly mean this. Of the sitcoms of this type, this was the best one at that time.
Okay.
Like this over Two Broke Girls and Big Bang, like this was like, it was an interestingly written show. It had way more heart than those other shows, but it is still like caught in the trappings of the time frame that it came out and being on a network that insisted that it be the multicam laugh track show, while stuff like I feel like if this was presented the way that Community is presented, Parks and Rec is presented, this would be in the exact same conversation as all of those other shows.
I think I would like this a lot better if it was.
But I think it got trapped in this like it's almost, I hate saying it, but it's like one of those shows that you have to watch with like a million different conceits in your head. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like watching Cheers, which like I like Cheers, but watching Cheers, you have to watch it through the lens of how different that was at the time, where like now it just feels like the most bland, average, even Friends, like Friends, contextually Friends is better when you think of what everything else was in 1994 than when you're watching it with a 2025 lens. But because when How I Met Your Mother was coming out, there were already shows like Scrubs and Community that weren't caught in that old sitcom trappings. Like it felt worse than it actually was, but it's one of those shows that it's really, really good. It had all the potential to be great if it was on a different network that let them do what they wanted to do, I think.
I get that. So like, I'll probably watch episodes here and there because I love Jason Segel, and
he is the star of the show in my eyes.
Really, I wish we had more of him right now. Like I hate he does things few and far between now. So I would really like.
And is that just because he's doing well? Like, is it just one of those like he doesn't have to work, so he doesn't want to work?
Dude, yeah. At some point, like I saw him more like popping up in Philly just hanging out than I saw him like on actual television. Like we have mutual friends, the Nicoles, who run the South Street Art Market, who were like, hey, Jason Segel was here today, and they like have like hung out with him, and that I see him more there than I do on active television or movies. So
but you know what, so this show gets compared to Friends a lot. It was probably the closest to like the 2000s version of Friends. But I'm going to say the biggest thing that's comparable to Friends is like Friends because it ran for so long. And I'm pretty sure this is still running in syndication regularly.
Yeah,
really, none of these people have to work.
No.
You know what I mean? Like Ted Mosby, the actor who played Ted Mosby, just makes like weird independent movies. Like he's like he is literally the David Schwimmer of this show in the Friends world, but he's also had the post-Friends career that David Schwimmer went and had, which was like David Schwimmer barely did any acting after this and just went all in on directing stuff like Run Fat Boy Run and like these weird artsy movies that like got limited run theatrical stuff. Like that's what Josh Ritter has been doing. And I think that Jason Segel kind of is, I guess, in like a little bit of that Matt Perry stage where it's like, I just want to do the things that excite me. And until then, like I've got the residuals that are coming in from this show. I don't need to
stay off
work.
the drugs, brother.
Don't. Oh my God. It's so sad. That's such a sad, tragic,
a sad story.
But like, that's the joke I always made about like how I don't understand Jennifer Aniston. Like Jennifer Aniston literally doesn't have to work unless it's a script that she's passionate about.
And she does.
And she's really passionate about mediocre rom-coms.
So what I was getting at is I'll probably never sit down and watch this show.
It's not worth it for how many episodes there are.
So I want to know, like, everybody hates the ending. Can you, like, elaborate, like, real quick?
So, did you watch, just for context, did you watch Game of Thrones?
The first few seasons, like, I think the first two.
I'm gonna say that the disdain for How I Met Your Mother is similar to the disdain about the ending of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Which in my
I'm aware of the context of why people are mad about the end of Game of Thrones.
My opinion of both of those finales is that there's nothing I would change about the results. I would change the pacing in which we got there.
Okay.
So the framework of How I Met Your Mother is that Ted Mosby is telling his two children this story.
Okay.
When they created the show, they really didn't think they were going to get more than a season or two.
Yeah.
Then they were the biggest hit on CBS behind Big Bang Theory and just kept getting renewed. And that hit an issue, which is these kids are going to keep growing up.
Yeah.
And like,
this is very true.
So what they had to do was they shot the end of the show while they were filming season 2. Like, as far as the narration to the children.
Yeah.
But then they got trapped because they can't reshoot it. Because those kids were now like 20 something by the time they got to the finale. So no matter what happened after season 2, certain things had to be retconned to fit into what the finale's storyline was.
Now, if this wasn't like if this didn't have a laugh track and you could go like the absurd route of one of the more modern sitcoms that we're talking about, they could have just put those same actors in pajamas and we would have just like been like, okay, cool. Like suspended our disbelief.
Exactly. But so what ends up happening is I actually think the last season of How I Met Your Mother is incredible.
Really?
So
okay. That's good to hear. I honestly might throw this on as the background watch.
So it ran 9 seasons.
Okay.
And the last moment of season 8, we see who the mom is. Okay. And we don't know anything about her, but we finally see who the mother of Ted's children are.
And it's not the person that like, isn't he like linked to one of the main characters? Like,
well, at this point in the episode that we watched, he's dating Robin. Okay. And Robin was like the catalyst for the start of the show. The very first episode is him seeing Robin across the bar and being like, that's the woman I'm going to marry. So we meet the mother. It's a completely new character.
In the first season that's not your mother? Like that's
Yeah. He says that. He goes, but that's your Aunt Robin.
Oh God, I hate that.
Yeah. So we meet the mother and we know that he meets the mother at a wedding.
Okay.
All of season 9, the entirety of season 9 is just during the 2 days of this wedding.
Okay.
And we're seeing it from Ted's perspective. We're seeing it from the mother's perspective. We're getting flashbacks to past episodes where we see all the times that they almost met each other. Like, it's a really well-constructed episode. We also jump forward into the future and see like some of their dates and there's all this stuff. And it's heavily, heavily implied that the mother is not alive anymore.
Oh.
Like, and we get those flashbacks into the future. Like it's laid out. So you're prepared for like, oh, this is a sad story.
Yeah.
What happens is then the very last episode is an hour-long episode that's like, and here's everything that happened over the last 15 years after that wedding. And it's so rapid fire. And like, you're just like, oh, this happened. And then this happened. And then these people got divorced that we were at the wedding for. And like, this happened and this happened and this happened. And then he's basically just like, and then as you know, your mother got sick and passed away. And then his kids are like, yeah, but Dad, this entire story's been about Aunt Robin the whole time. Why don't we know that you love Aunt Robin. Just go be with Aunt Robin already. And then he goes and professes his love to Robin. And that's the end of the show, is like him admitting that he's still in love with her after all these years. And in my mind, I was just like, we needed to see you grieve. Like, I understand that in the context of him telling the story to his kids, the mother has maybe been dead for years. But for us, the audience, the mom has been dead for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, like, it's just, the pacing is so wrong. So much so that they, when they released it on DVD, put an alternate ending that doesn't include any of that extra stuff. It's just that it shows exactly when Ted and the mother meet, and then credits roll. Like it's
That's awesome.
like they were like, okay, we know that we pissed off people.
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah.
wild.
Yeah, it's just a really, it's again, if that last hour was season 10,
Yeah.
and it was paced out properly, like I remember going to watch the finale knowing that the mother was almost definitely going to die from all the hints that we had been given. I had like a box of tissues. Like I was like, we're going to cry. And
Yeah.
I felt nothing. Like,
But,
I didn't
but
laugh.
honestly,
I didn't
what
cry.
else could they do? Save
Yeah.
for like multiple more seasons of you
Yeah.
getting close to this mother? Because
I
I
d-
mean,
I think it was just the juxtaposition of like, we spent 16 episodes just over a 2-day period, and then
Yeah.
we're going to tell 15 years of history
Yeah.
in an hour. Like, that's
Yeah.
just weird.
I think
it's the same
obvious
issue that people
endgame-
have with Game of Thrones. A lot of the Game of Thrones
yeah,
problems were for 7 seasons, if a character was traveling from one land to the next land, that was like a whole season's worth of traveling.
yeah.
But now, because it's the final season, they can get there in one episode, like without
Yeah. I feel
without
like
any
obvious,
issues.
Obvious end game is Ted and Robin, and I
Yeah.
felt like there had to be a better way to get there that
Yeah.
wasn't killing this mother.
Yeah,
But like as soon as we meet her,
100%. I think we're good. A great episode. I
Hell
don't know
yeah,
if there's
man.
that many other Christmas episodes of the show, so this also might be the last episode we do of How I Met Your Mother.
I'll look into it. I mean, honestly, like I said, there were enough good bits that I could definitely see myself putting this on in the background if I need something to put on
Yeah.
in the background.
But-
Again, as we said, I love seeing Jason Segel.
Yeah,
And I'll watch him in pretty much anything.
I'll dive into. They did a lot more Thanksgiving, similar to Friends. Again, they did a lot more Thanksgiving than Christmas. But we'll be back next week with more Christmas 365. I love you, bro.
I love you too, buddy.
Oh, whoa, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Have a happy holiday. Have a great holiday. Have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.